Ladies, gentlemen, folks beyond the binary, grab your husband, wife, partner, mistress, a subpar psychologist, and gather around your radio. It's time for this week's meeting of the Erotic Thriller Club. It's 1994, and your terrible work as a therapist has caused the suicide of one of your patients, and in turn left you colorblind. The only thing you can do is jet set to sunny Los Angeles to bang your cares away and leave your worries for another day. You stay with your equally terrible therapist friend who is murdered by one of his patients. Can you put your terrible therapy skills to the test and figure out who done it? This week on the Erotic Thriller Club, Color of Night. Hey friends, welcome to this week's meeting of the Erotic Thriller Club. As always, Garrett Callender and Kit Ryan here.
And this is where we answer the genre's three most important questions. Was I aroused? Was I thrilled? And would I ruin my life for this person? Garrett, what a banger of an opening this movie has.
Kit, it is crazy to me that we can continually find a movie that impresses me beyond what happened the previous week.
I didn't know we could reach such joyous heights of insanity, of absolute bewildering glory. Because I did not I was not prepared. I was not prepared.
So had you heard of this movie prior to me sending it to you?
No.
So it tops a lot of bad movie lists. It tops a lot of the worst erotic thrillers lists.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like at the time, like it was a pretty insane movie. I mean, it was nominated for a bunch of Razzies.
Understandable.
You and I'm assuming we both watched the same one, the 2-hour cut.
Mm-hmm.
That's the producer's cut. The director, Richard Rush, got into a fight with the producers. He wanted his cut, which I believe is 20 minutes longer or something. And yeah.
What are we missing?
Oh, Bruce Willis's dong.
No, come on.
Don't worry, I looked up pictures. I got you.
Oh, thank you.
Papa Garrett's got you. You're not going to miss out on Bruce Willis's bell piece. But no, there's like a whole bunch of separate subplots, and
there's more subplots. I can barely keep track. I was taking notes the whole time, and this felt like when I was watching Twin Peaks for the first time, and I had to start writing down all the characters and who they were, and how I drew lines so that I would know how they know each other, because it was too bewildering to follow otherwise. I needed a reference sheet. To keep track of everyone.
Rest in peace, David Lynch. And
David Lynch.
Feel a little bad throwing Color of the Night in with Lynch movies as far as you having to take notes. But just to give you a rundown of some of the cast in this movie, folks.
Incredible.
It is a who's who of, I don't want to say B-level actors, because at the time, some of them were pretty big. You know, obviously Bruce Willis is the lead. I was not familiar with Jane March, who is the second lead. Then going through his therapist friend, Scott Bakula.
Oh yeah, we got Bakula.
Bakula's in the house. And then the patients, this round circle of patients that he is group therapy. Brad Dourif, Lance Hendrickson. We've got Kevin J. O'Connor, who was, I couldn't place him at first. And then I realized, oh my God, he's the guy that pretends to be Daniel Plainview's brother in There Will Be Blood that Daniel Plainview ends up killing him and burying him because he's
Wait,
like
which character was this?
Clark or Casey.
Casey. That's Benny from The Mummy. Thank you very much.
Okay, he got the little fez on.
Yeah, he's the one
Okay,
with the
okay.
fez. That's what I was thinking of the whole time.
Shirley Knight, Eric
Uh-huh.
LaSalle from ER had no lines, but is in it.
I have another one for you. I mean, you may not think of this as being an important reference, but it's important to my heart. The woman from the beginning, his patient, who throws herself dramatically out a window,
Mhm.
that is, first of all, Pepper Ann.
If no
Pepper
shit.
Ann. She's too cool for seventh grade. But also,
Pepper Ran, gun in her mouth. Pepper Ran, pepper. What?
yeah. But more importantly, so there was a show that my parents were obsessed with when it briefly aired, called Cop Rock.
Hell yeah, Cop Rock.
I tracked down Cop Rock. I now own it on a very pirated DVD cuz I love it, and our heroine here is the woman who sings a song about selling her baby in the first
Get fucked.
episode. The pilot episode of Cop Rock, this woman is singing a sad lullaby to her baby before selling him.
So I do remember watching it. I mean, I was a little kid when it was on. But now that I'm hearing this, I have yet to see Amelia Perez, but it sounds like Cop Rock was ahead of its time on getting awards.
Listen, there's so many actors that I like primarily love for having been on Cop Rock. I cannot express to you how perfect of a show it was and how much we as a society did not deserve this show that it has people singing about burning crosses and corrupt police officers and good lord, the number of times, this is my Roman Empire, the number of times I think about Cop Rock. And so to see this woman and immediately recognize her was a real treat for me.
I had another person in this movie partway through this movie. There's a character named Dale that shows up that is the brother
Dale,
of one of the patients. That's Andrew Lowry, who's in one of my all-time favorite comedies.
which
Uh,
is,
there's there's a comedy from the 90s. It maybe came out a year after this movie or the same year even. I don't remember. My Boyfriend's Back.
oh, I haven't seen that.
He plays a character named Johnny Dingle who
Good name.
uh yeah, he makes a little scheme to ask this girl out to prom, but in doing so gets killed and comes back from the dead to go to prom with her.
Ah, of course.
Young Philip Seymour Hoffman's in this movie.
Oh,
Young there's yeah, young Matthew McConaughey. There's a bunch of people. My Boyfriend's Back. But let's get into this first scene here, Kit.
yeah. There's a lot going on.
The whole movie, I said WTF more times per minute than I've ever said watching any movie in my life.
I said it twice within the first 5 minutes. I yeah, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, we open with Pepper Ann in her bedroom. She pulls a lipstick out of the coolest lipstick box I've ever seen in my life.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
It's a like a little carousel. I don't even want to describe it. You just gotta also watch this movie. This is like watch
Do
this
yourself a
movie.
favor. We're not waiting to the end to give a recommendation. Watch this
Watch
movie.
this movie. So Pepper Ann is putting lipstick on her mouth, her teeth, giving an insane smile.
Yeah.
Pulls a revolver out of her purse and holds it to her head in a way no one has ever held a revolver to kill
Mm-mm.
themselves. And I loved this decision for her.
Mhm, 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 mhm. And then, she sort of seems to think better about firing it, and instead, uh, fillets it is the best. Yeah, right. Like that's the best way to describe what she's doing with the licking of the
Well,
gun.
yeah, it's a little O mouth. It is a small barrel of the revolver. And to
Mhm.
describe to you how she's holding it, because normally, you would maybe to the temple, you'd maybe hold it under your chin, maybe put it in your mouth while holding the gun like a gun. This time it is flipped around facing her, like barrel of the gun facing her mouth, both thumbs on the trigger. As
Mhm.
this was happening, I was like, the kickback on this is gonna be wild. Because she's basically not holding it. It might not even kill her. The kickback alone might send the bullet to graze part of her head and render her a just kind of useless person.
I don't know, but trigger warning. This lady kills herself,
But she
but
kills her.
not via gun. The
Not
gun,
yet!
not via gun. The gun is it is Chekhov's gun that does not get fired.
We skip ahead to Bruce Willis's office
He has a lovely office, by the way.
on the 1,000th floor of a building in New York City.
Mhm, mhm, but it's
Can't
not like it looks like it should be a real based on the building, it should be a sterile modern office. It is not. This movie could have taken place in 1937 based on like the styling of his office. It's very classy. It's cozy even.
so, we mentioned terrible therapy.
Mhm. Oh, that's going to come up a lot.
You and I assume you have a I don't currently, but I have
Obviously.
had therapists over the years. I have never had one so aggressively negative.
Yeah. Yeah. And later when he's like blaming himself for the fact that this woman died, I was kind of like, "Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She
You
came
don't
up to your office, told you
Mhm.
she was sad, and you're
Mhm.
like, "There's no such thing as God."
Yeah. Yeah. People just make up God, you know? People make up God to give themselves something to be mad at. And I'm like, You think this is gonna help?" And he's like, "Yeah, people just make stuff up, and that's probably what you're doing. Is just making stuff up to be upset about. Why don't you look at yourself in the mirror and take a long, hard look at yourself?" And she does, and she doesn't like what she see, and she runs screaming towards the window.
This movie is really big into showing us shots of people looking through glass or into mirrors
Mhm.
where we can see two characters at once.
They
The director
love it.
loved it. It was his favorite thing. But you said running towards glass. It is important, folks, to know in this movie, glass is basically paper.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, other than it will kill you. It's
It doesn't even serve a purpose. In this movie, you can't lean against glass without it breaking. Like
Oh god, no. Yeah. I'm
windows, yeah.
surprised anyone can ever pick up a glass and drink out of it without it just crumbling in their hands.
If glass in skyscrapers were this thin in this universe, there would be hundreds of deaths in New York every day while people were on the phone and just forgot how thin it was and put their hand against their window while talking and just fell through.
100%. It like a bird would slam into that window and then next thing you know, the window is completely gone.
But like I said to the 1,000th floor,
Oh yeah.
this movie has
She
a
falls
really hard
forever.
this movie has a really hard time with height. There's a scene at the end of the movie where we end up on like what's looked like a smokestack on top of an average size warehouse.
Mhm.
That shit went into the clouds.
Oh, yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
we were like you are no longer in a building or on top of something. You are getting a view from an airplane or a hot air balloon once you are anywhere above the third floor of the building in this movie. But yeah, she falls forever. The director was really proud of the shot he did where the camera was the pavement.
Oh,
The
that one, you know what? I'm with him there. It looked really cool that we saw like the blood pooling out from under her from underneath. POV, you are the pavement.
That being said, the height she fell, she would be liquid.
Absolutely. That was the same thought I had. That body's way too intact. She fell from basically a plane.
Put it this way, she's gonna get an open casket funeral still somehow.
Somehow, and she should not.
But yeah, Bruce Willis, very sad that he essentially talked this woman off the ledge, has now lost.
That's not what talking off the ledge is supposed to mean, Garrett.
Oh, the wrong way.
The wrong
Sorry,
way.
like the Mudvayne lyrics. Let me help to talk you the wrong way off a ledge. It,
And for some reason, he blames himself. I can't imagine why.
it's your fault, bitch. It's your fault. You have
There,
every right to feel bad on this one.
there are so many times in a movie where people are blaming themselves for things that could not possibly be their fault. Like they were, oh, I was 5 years old and my dad shot my mom and I blame myself for it. And it's like, why? How? That doesn't make any sense. Bruce Willis, I think, needs to blame himself more.
Yeah, this needs to follow you for years, and maybe you need to have your license revoked to even
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
be
And
in this industry.
meanwhile, his therapist is telling him like that he needs to move on and not cancel his practice. And I'm like, no, cancel your practice. Cancel your practice, sir.
We're up to 2 bad therapists now.
You're right. We ain't done. Don't worry about it, y'all.
But during that session, he reveals that this is a dumb thing that I was not clear on.
Mm-hmm.
Is he full colorblind or is he just missing the color red?
Well, I mean, it's a good question. Did he become red-green colorblind? Or did he just, like, can he still see green?
Because they only reference red as something he doesn't see the rest of the movie, but he does say he's colorblind.
Well,
But
and at one point he's wearing a one red sock and one green sock. So
right,
presumably
you're
he
right.
is now red-green colorblind. It's just that I guess not being able to see grass is not as meaningful as not being able to see blood or
I
passion.
we should have brought back Brad that did cruising with us. Brad is real life colorblind. This
Oh,
would have
you're
been a
right.
we didn't know.
All
We
the
didn't know.
dramatic reveals where it was like you thought it was this, it's blood. That wouldn't have meant anything to him. All the dramatic shifts in lighting where it was like that light was red all along. He wouldn't know.
I'm not joking. You saying that made me realize because it's such not a big deal until they mention it occasionally that
Mhm.
there's moments in it where I'm supposed to remember that he's colorblind
Yes.
that I
Mhm.
definitely didn't until just now, specific scenes coming to mind.
Mhm.
So he jet sets to LA, like we said. He ends up with Scott Bakula.
I just want to point out though that the sentence Bruce Willis is colorblind as a trauma response to his patient throwing herself out a window in the middle of a session after he told her there is no God is a wild sentence for me to have to say.
That should be a review on the VHS.
Right? Why was this? This should be on the poster.
You and I should have watched this 20 years ago together.
We were children.
Okay, sorry, I guess 15 years ago. I don't know. We should have already seen this.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the, if not the best So Bad It's Good movie we've watched so
Mm-hmm.
far.
Mm-hmm.
Where Cat
Like,
People was questionable on if it was good or bad or what the
mm-hmm.
situation was.
It was in its own beautiful category. This is firmly in the so bad it's good category.
I thought once we get to LA and we hang out with Scott Bakula, his friend Bob. So Bruce Willis is Bill, Scott Bakula is Bob. Bob and Bill.
Yeah, I could not keep straight which is which, so in my notes they are Bruce and they are Bakula.
Yes, Bruce and Bakula. We basically we get introduced to, for whatever reason, this random group of people that had nothing in common to do a group therapy.
Nothing at all. This is the stupid, like, I could not understand. Somebody clearly saw like a One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest or like some like movie where people are in a psychiatric hospital and they have that scene where everybody has to do group therapy, but like they all have their different quirks. This one thinks that he's Abraham Lincoln and this one is afraid of talking and right, but like that makes sense because they're all there against their will. and they are required to do group therapy. There's no reason these people should. One guy, he's just there because he's sad that his wife and child are dead. He should be in a grief support group,
Mhm.
not here with the sex addict and the guy with OCD and the guy who I'm pretty sure he's just an asshole. Like I don't know what what
So the
Benny from the Mummy's actual diagnosis is other than asshole.
I found a thing that broke down scene to scene and what's longer. He had a longer story arc in the director's cut where he is an artist and he is into like weird S&M shit.
Well, I got
And
that from his paintings.
well, you in the director's cut you see much more hardcore paintings.
Oh, I
Like
missed out on.
spikes coming out of asses and like
Oh man.
he's got something
Oh.
going on up there. But yeah, he's kind of a
What?
dick.
Okay, so wait, but like also we're just pathologizing the fact that the guy's got a kink. Like let him he doesn't need therapy for that. I mean, he what he needs is individual therapy, not group therapy because he is a total dick to everyone else in that group. And why do they keep coming? Why do they want to spend time around this dude? When one of the patients punches him in the face in the middle of the session, I'm like, "Yes. Good."
Mhm. So as we introduce, we're also introduced to Richie, who
Mhm.
is somebody with gender identity issues.
Okay,
And
were you as confused by this as I was? Because I definitely thought, because it's so very clearly a female actor playing Richie, that I was like, okay, so Richie is a trans man. And they're all being very hip by, in 1994, using his pronouns that he prefers. No, that is not what I'm supposed to think. I'm supposed to think that this is a man who is having gender identity confusion and wants to be a woman. Don't worry, guys. This movie seems like it's going to be really regressive about gender identity. It's not. It's regressive about a whole bunch of other stuff instead.
yeah, what I was gonna ask is if we should reveal that right away, because 100% I had the same issue with the movie where it wasn't until an hour into the movie when a sentence was said that I realized like Kit, you and I's brains both did the same thing. And
Hmm.
that was take something that was so fucking stupid and
Hmm.
make it just make sense in our
Yes.
head.
Yeah. Yeah.
We like
We
our
fixed
brains
it.
fixed the movie and we went with it until the movie let us know like no, did it wrong. Because you were correct. I was like this is a trans man. This is awesome that they're all calling him he.
Yeah,
Like this is
I was so proud of all of them, and they were like, "Yeah, he's here for gender identity and social phobia, and he's did some drugs, and he's got a stutter." And I was like, "Okay, cool, 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 cool. I'm glad you guys are so chill about the gender identity thing, and you realize that what he really needs to work on is his social phobias, right? Like, and you're all calling him by his pronouns. This is great." No, that's not what's
yeah.
happening.
Later in dialogue, this is like an hour later into the movie where this whole movie I'm just like, this person's issue is they are a trans man in 1994, and that is really hard to navigate.
Yeah.
And Lance Hendrickson in dialogue says he wants to be a woman and all that's left to do is get the chop. And that's when my brain, like, I had to pause the movie and like reboot myself because I don't know if I've ever had my brain just be like, "This is impossible, that this is what they want me to believe. I'm fixing this."
I was so yes, yes, because Garrett, like Bruce Willis said in the opening, we view our lives like we're looking through a keyhole, and so we make things up that we can't see outside the frame. You and I did that by making the movie make sense because we only saw a tiny piece of how stupid this movie was, and we filled it in with something smart. We should not have done that, apparently. We needed to fill it in with something way stupider.
Yeah.
It's also super obvious. I don't know how obvious it was for you, but it seemed really obvious as soon as we met the cute girlfriend Rose that rear ends Bruce Willis. Did you immediately clock that those were the same people?
No. Well, So if I had had a chance, so this is what
Mhm.
happened for me. We do meet this June. Would we say her name was June March? Jade March. I was not familiar with her other than in this Jane March. As soon as her character appeared in this movie, and after Bruce Willis has a fender bender, like it is pretty clear because she has very distinct teeth,
Yes.
and clearly Richie has the same teeth. But I didn't have time to make that connection because as soon as
Mm.
I got to her, I looked up her IMDb and I thought, have I seen this woman before? She is very pretty. And then I saw she had been nominated for awards. And I clicked the awards and she had been nominated for well, she had got nominated for like 3 Razzies for this movie.
I don't think
That's
that's fair. She is not what makes this movie not work.
just to be clear, the Razzies in 1994 do need to like do some revisionist history. One person who got nominated for worst actor was for 3 separate movies, and it was Jim Carrey for Ace Ventura, Dumb and Dumber, and The Mask. So the Razzies
Wow.
ain't always right.
Oh, no. That is wow, that is
But
bad.
she got nominated for worst actress, and then also it listed worst actor, Richie. So I literally didn't I got it
Oh.
fucking spoiled so fast.
I mean, all for them to have that hilarious joke of the fact that she is both characters. Okay, so just to be clear on what everybody's fun quirk is in the group, we have Sandra, who is Miss Scarlet from Clue.
Mhm.
She is a sex addict, a kleptomaniac, and I think that was it. I don't think there was any other. She's
Didn't she,
just
like, shoot her?
sad.
We do find out she shot or stabbed somebody down the line, I
Oh
think.
yeah, she may or may not have killed her husband at some point. It doesn't really matter. There's Richie, who has gender identity, social phobia, stuttering, and a drug problem. There's Buck, who is grieving the
Lance.
loss of his, yes, that's Lance, Bishop from Aliens, is one of my favorite roles of his. He is grieving the loss of his wife and child. We have Casey, that's Benny from The Mummy. He is an asshole, and
He needs to
is
learn to be nicer
he needs to
and
learn to be
interact with
nice,
humans better.
and he likes S&M. And then we have Clark, which is Brad Dourif, and he has OCD.
Yeah, we
That
basically have an adult version of the Dream Warriors right now. Is
Oh my god, you're not wrong at all. You're not wrong at all. And like it
everybody's got their thing and somebody's
everybody's
gonna
got
get
their
killed.
thing, and always there's like it's got to be that there's one woman who is a sex addict because obviously, and we got to have an OCD person, and all of these people should not be in a group together. It is so clear that they should not be in a group. There's no reason. Richie should be with other people who have, social phobias and or gender identity issues, right? Like Buck just needs to be in a support group for people who've lost loved ones. There's just this is stupid and so counterproductive.
Do you think everybody being here is an insurance issue where like it doesn't cover solo sessions, so you just have to get thrown into the grab bag bacula
I
session?
guess so, but like they explicitly point out that Casey is rich. He can afford private therapy. There's no reason he needs to be here.
He likes the company and the counting
It's
of the
just
books and
yeah, we've got Brad Dorff is a lawyer. Painter guy is a trust fund kid. None of them need to be in group therapy. I think that this is just our terrible therapist Bacula getting an extra bit of cash out of all of his patients by putting them into a group session as well as his individual therapy with them. And that way he gets twice as much money.
I don't disagree with that. I there I mean, once again, this is a movie where your brain has to do something to fix how stupid it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a movie that I can't tell if everybody knows they're in a stupid bad movie. But once again, a lot was cut. So
Bruce Bruce Willis is going to stay with Bakula
They're old
because
college
they're
buddies.
old college buddies. They went to the same college for terrible therapists where they learned to be bad at therapy. Um, and he's like, Bakula, you're loaded. You have this giant mansion. I'm like, yeah, because he's scamming all these people out of their money by giving them bad therapy. Um, the guy's talking about how he's divorced, he's dating a new girl. He has an insane security system on this
Yeah.
place.
Very noticeable right away. He has a fortress around the house.
It is the
Security
equivalent
cameras.
of fear in terms of
Oh yeah.
the amount of security on this place.
But let's get to Bacula dying because this shit, Kit.
Oh boy.
This shit is the best thing. I rewound and watched this 4 times, and I can't wait to reenact. I wish we need to start doing this as a video podcast. So he's in his office, everybody else leaves, it's late. He has switched this is important for later that he has switched the sleeve of a book of a Van Gogh book to be like his diary or some shit.
I believe those are called therapist notes, but considering this guy, yeah, it's his diary.
It's his sex journal that he has hiding on his wall of books. He hears a thud. He hollers to see if anybody's there. He
Mhm.
starts to walk, sees the silhouette of a menacing figure. And we know from his security system and what he has said to Bruce Willis, he's pretty sure somebody in the therapy group is trying to kill him.
Yeah, he informs Bruce Willis of this while they're on a bike ride. He's like, "Yeah, someone in the group is sending me death threats," and then he pops a sick wheelie because that's the kind of movie we're in.
He's got a cute little 80s biker hat, like
Mhm.
bicycle hat while he pops the wheelie. But the best part about this, so we see the silhouette.
Mhm.
Bakula knows he's in danger and that somebody has been trying to kill him, and the cops can't do anything until he's dead because
Mhm.
cops.
'Cause cops.
His reaction to seeing
Mhm.
this silhouette, I'm going to step away from the mic for a second so it's not so loud, is to do this. Ah! And then run while still going, ah! And as he runs, screaming, ah,
Yep, like you do.
because glass is paper, the killer jumps through this glass,
Oh yeah, and we
tackles
got people
Bakula.
jumping. We got people jumping out of windows. We got people jumping into windows. We got people pushing each other through windows. I love all of it.
Window shit is big, and we see a hand wearing latex gloves, wearing chainmail, a
Mhm,
hidden
mhm.
blade
It's
comes out.
Assassin's Creed style blade popping out. Like this person came ready to assassinate.
Oh, it's a beautiful assassination too, because it's stabby, 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 stabby. He falls
Stabby, stabby,
back.
stabby, stabby.
Unfortunately, he's probably already dead based on the amount of stabbies to the belly and chest.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
unfortunately, this world, he falls into a glass door. That's the worst case scenario for anyone, is
Absolutely.
extra impaled by a giant shard of glass,
I mean,
just if you were worried he might live.
impaled through his own office door, like the glass stabbing straight up through him. It's beautiful. In many ways, you don't feel too bad about it. Man was a real bad therapist.
He's also real bad at not getting fucking killed, Kit. For our listeners,
Yeah.
if you see the silhouette of somebody and you know in your head you could be murdered, stay silent.
Mhm.
You have a couple options. Can you get it out? Can you get out? Can you silently escape where you are? Or is there a good hiding spot?
Absolutely.
The third option, if you've given up all hope, is scream ah and run so that they know exactly where you are
Mhm,
through
mhm, mhm.
your alarm system that's coming out of your face.
Yeah, well, there's also the problem of you invested all this money in a security system for your house and you put nothing into your office, despite the fact that you work there late at night and all of your patients know where that is. They may not know where your house is, but they absolutely know where your office is, and you have no security system whatsoever. You have no cameras, no alarm. You don't even have a gun. You have a gun in your house. You don't have a gun in your office.
He sucks.
He
He's a fucking
sucks.
idiot. He shouldn't have a license to tell people what to do in any situation, let alone
Absolutely
any of
not.
the ones these people have. Honestly, those patients, he got Luigi'd. He got Luigi'd.
What are we using that as a verb for when someone gets murdered for something they probably deserve because of what they do at their job? Is
Well, I
that the
mean,
new is that a new word?
they were all receiving poor health care. I don't know what else, like,
Dang. That's a good point. That's a good point. I mean, seriously, he is this man's therapist. And I want to point out, like,
yeah.
he has been seeing these people for like a year now. He has
Mhm.
also been dating a woman. Did not realize she's the same woman as one of his patients. Did not realize that his patient was actually a woman dressing up like a man. Something you and I realized at first glance and rationalized as, oh, that's a trans man. He didn't even see that. He's a therapist and could not tell
I
that
don't
this is a woman in man's clothing pretending to be a man and just like slightly lowering her voice so that she talks like this.
that's
Oh, that's the stutter?
insensitive.
Do you think the stutter is there to cover the fact that she's not that good at lowering her voice?
Maybe. I mean, she did get nominated for a Razzie. Uh,
Yeah, well, she was in good company apparently.
so I don't want this to come off as offensive towards trans folks in regards to passing and not passing.
Absolutely not. This is more
This
about us trying to interpret Hollywood in the 90s and
it
their idea of what gender is, which is
it was wildly bad makeup and hair
yeah.
to the point that I don't want to say it, Kip, but I'm going to throw it out there.
Mhm.
There was a potential. There was potential that Richie was a ghoul.
God damn it, Garrett! Stop thinking everyone's a ghoul.
I'm just saying you can never be too sure, and you have to keep every scenario open
I
when
do
you're a detective.
now that you mention it though,
Pale white.
like clearly she was in some like because there's a gray cast to her
She looks like a
face.
corpse.
She looked very corpse like, and they were like, obviously, if you want a woman to look like a man, the first thing you need to do is suck all color out of her skin. Then,
'Cause she is a beautiful woman.
oh, gorgeous. And so I guess they were like the way to make sure she doesn't look like a pretty lady is to make her look like a corpse. And then you won't think about it too much. And we'll just sort of like have her duck her head all the time and look away and put her in the corner of the frame so that you don't look too carefully at her.
So in all of the times in this podcast that I've become the boy that shouts "ghoul,"
Yeah.
where does this rank in he might be right. Was it more reasonable that Richie was a ghoul, or was it the ghoul and body double?
Okay, I will say it is more likely than body double, and I'll tell you why. Because, as I said before, you think this movie is regressive about gender identity. It's not. It's regressive about what it thinks schizophrenia and multiple personality disorder are, because those were real popular topics back then. So, since this person has multiple personalities, I will say it's possible one of those personalities is a ghoul.
Oh, man. We've never explored that in a movie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it would have
Mm-hmm.
made this one better, but, I'm actually pretty happy with how this one turned out, to be quite honest with you. But
Next, we get the best cop interrogation ever. Garrett, this cop. Garrett, can you explain why this cop is what he is? Because I sure can't.
Kit, this is not just the worst police officer we've run
Mm-hmm.
into. I not the worst as far as detective skills, but maybe. But also just I think this is the worst human being
Yes.
we have
Yes.
run into in any movie we've watched, and that includes a rapist werewolf magician.
Yeah. I agree. 100%. This guy is because even the the werewolf magician wouldn't be saying nice bush about the ex-wife of a dead man to that dead man's best friend who just found out his friend is dead that day or the day
He
before.
he is such a dick to Bruce Willis in this scene and is showing no remorse that his friend is dead.
So he's the weirdest detective ever. He has a terrible comb over. He has no tact whatsoever. He is Detective Hector Martinez, I believe is his name, and he immediately is bullying Bruce Willis and just being so rude. And he never once says anything like "I'm sorry for your loss." Instead, he is just aggressively weird. And I don't know if this is a tactic, like he thinks Bruce Willis did it and this is going to get him to break, but I don't think that's true. I think he's just a weird, horrible man.
I think that's right. This is the scene where, as they're talking, Eric LaSalle, famously from many seasons of ER, maybe even while this was on, to be honest, walks into the room, says nothing, gets screamed at a lot by this guy, and leaves. Hector, anybody that
Hmm.
has a mental health issue, he refers to as a fucking daffodil,
Yep.
which is great.
Yeah. Great.
Um, but I don't even know how to, like, I'm trying to think of, like,
I mean,
specific things he says in this scene other
Garrett,
than
I
he's
want to
like,
point out though, the Hector is rude to people who have mental illness. Bruce Willis, our hero and therapist, when asked by Scott Bakula about the group, refers to Richie as a genuine nutcase. So it's not like our mental health professionals are so much more respectful than Hector over here.
I don't wanna stand up for a dickhead, but Bruce Willis wasn't on the clock when he said that.
No, but he is having a professional conversation with another therapist about his clients. And
Well,
he refers.
professional is a big word for what.
You're right. You're right. You're right.
But yeah, this scene, he's just such an asshole. He's accusing Bruce Willis of murder. He is kind of like making it seem like he doesn't. He's obstructing the case. He does make it seem like he wants Bruce Willis to
Mm-hmm. But
help,
mostly
like
just
fi-
figure out who did it, and he's bullying Bruce into taking over the group and it's not clear at all why this would be a good idea.
well, he's bullying him into taking over the group, and when he does take over the group,
He
is
then
mad at him
yells.
for taking over the group.
He's like, "No,
Like,
you need to break up the group. I just wanted you to tell them all that their therapist is dead in group therapy because that seems like the appropriate time to tell people this."
when he does eventually, he tells the people, and Bruce Willis is their therapist. There's like nothing huge there, but Hector finds out, and he does say this line that I'm sure you also wrote down.
Mhm. Mhm.
You stick your dick in a barrel of barracudas once, maybe you won't lose it. You leave it in there, it's going to get chewed off at the root.
Mhm.
Hector does have things like that in his back pocket to throw out.
Just ready to put out at a moment's notice. Yeah, he tells the group his whole sob story. And after hearing that, they still want him to be their therapist to replace Bakula.
Well,
And I don't know why. He basically just said, "I'm really bad at my job. I got a lady killed." And they're like, "Yeah, and we want you."
well, they knew the quality of care they were getting from Bacula, and it's not
Good
like it could,
point. Get any
you know,
worse? It
it's
can't.
if anything, it's just a lateral move. But yeah, so I do love that Bruce Willis has just commandeered his friend's house, his car. Like, really, this worked out well for Bruce Willis since
It
the
is
death.
I started thinking maybe Bruce Willis really did kill him. That Bruce Willis had
His
the
schizophrenia.
yeah, that he was the one with multiple personalities and, like, went into a fugue state or something and killed this dude because he ends up with this guy's car, house, client list, everything. He's getting bills at this dude's house and is, like, paying like, he just lives here now. This is his life. He just took his old friend's life. Took his girlfriend even.
We find that out later, but yeah, he gets in a fender bender with Jane March, who plays Rose in this movie. Very beautiful lady, doesn't have insurance. They're gonna deal with it, you know, on the side. So what does he do? If this is like cat people, he invites her out for some oysters.
That's what you
Great
do.
teeth, great teeth. I love
She's so cute.
great teeth, big eyes. Uh,
Mhm. Great
absolute,
breasts. Great
absolute.
breasts. Great breasts.
Kid, if we're just gonna go ahead and jump to some sex scenes, because nothing. I mean, why not?
Why
Th-
not?
can you believe that the first sex scene in this movie, the extended it's so gratuitous.
Oh god,
It
yeah, it
is
was softcore porn, 100%. You are it's so close to showing penetration. So
so close.
close.
Well, the director's cut. So this scene is like 2.5 minutes, the sex scene. And it feels like it. It is a long sex scene.
Mhm.
The director's cut version is like 4.5 minutes and more explicit.
And I what I love is the variety that they
We
like
get
Bruce
all of it.
Willis. Bruce Willis is a machine. Man can go all night long. They are in every place, every position. He wakes up and realizes he's still tied to the bed. We didn't even see that part.
Cut from the movie. We gotta get our hands on this director's cut,
I
Kit.
want to
Like,
see it so
maybe
bad.
since you and I didn't get to watch this movie together, maybe we save the director's cut and watch that together. We'll find a
I would love
DVD out
that.
there. Uh,
It's gotta be out there somewhere. I mean, it's so good.
she comes over to the house, the dress comes off, they get pushed into the pool, his clothes come off. She goes down on him, he goes down on her. It is like this movie loves to show a vagina.
Oh, yeah, 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 and it is lovingly filming her breasts as well, and Bruce Willis gets in there. He is licking and
It's
sucking, and I
wildly
mean,
explicit for an R.
absolutely, it is borderline softcore because, uh, I they're in the pool. We see the whitest ass.
He's so white. You would
His
have thought he
ass
tanned a little.
I I mean, right? His ass is blinding. And then there's like a random scene where she's like, "I want you to get dressed up," and he's like, "What?" And she's like, "Put on a suit." And then she serves him dinner. What? Oh my god, that's a dick.
I'm showing Kit Jane March kissing right next to Bruce Willis's naked penis.
She's just right in there.
Like,
That
and it's
was
not
in
just
the
one
movie.
shot of his penis.
Oh my goodness, look at that guy. Hey there,
Apparently,
buddy.
Willis has a little bit of a history of showing hanging dong like early in his career.
Good for him. Good
Meh.
for him.
Sorry to interrupt. I just thought you needed to see
I
that
did need to
since
see
we
it.
got robbed of it in our version.
I know, and that's such a ripoff, really, because there is so much lady. If people who want to see Dong deserve a little something special too,
Well, we just have
other
to wait for
than
the VHS tape. No one saw this in theaters anyway.
so true. I mean, can you imagine if you had gone to see this like with other people? It would be a little inappropriate. It would feel like you were doing something wrong. But yeah, they're on the counter, they're in the bed. She serves him food while he is in a suit and she is bare naked. And then never mind, it's time to go to the shower and have sex there. Like They
Oh,
can't
tits
make up
pressed
their
against the
mind.
glass, squished
Oh,
against the
yeah.
you don't get that in every movie.
You don't, honestly. I I
And it's not just one, like, throughout this movie, there's, multiple scenes going on. It takes a while to get to this first one, but this lady is
it's
just
so
nude throughout
good.
the rest of this movie.
Yeah, yeah, he comes home at one point and she's just in his house wearing nothing but a frilly apron. The woman just listen, if I looked like that, I would never wear clothes either, I'll be honest. Like, what?
Well, and then there's just, like, later in the movie, they're in bed, and they have, like, a little joke where she pulls a boob out and it's like, "What color is my nipple?" And they share a hearty laugh.
Because he don't know,
'Cause
but
he
he knows
can't see that
he
color.
can't see that color, but what he can see is that he wants to put his mouth on it.
Yeah, he's never afraid. Like, I cannot imagine there was an intimacy coordinator on set, since that's a very popular topic in Hollywood right now.
Mhm.
This movie looked like they just filmed for days of just
Yeah.
these 2.
There's one part where
There's
he, like, slides his arm under and, like, flips her over, which is a very, like, realistic thing to happen in sex, but I was like, "Oh my g like, you are that
you're
is
in
her
there.
we're in there. That is her
Like,
body. You are touching it."
you're right, there's a part around the same time where, like, we see their pelvises so close
Yes.
together and thrust in that
Yep.
it is just they're just having sex, I think.
I think they may have just had sex, and I'm here for it. I would be
This movie
I had it had gotten to the point where I was wondering, I was like, "Is there gonna be an erotic in my erotic thriller?" I'm starting to feel a little parched, and boy, oh boy, did they just, give me a pool filled with gallons
of jizz.
of
Uh,
jizz.
this movie truly keeps on giving, because throughout
Mhm,
it, like, things will be said, things will happen, like, everything's inexplicable, then we just get this gratuitous sex scene, and it's
mhm.
just this movie just gives and gives and goes, and
It's like Bruce Willis himself. They can go all night long.
Ugh.
They psychoanalyze each other. He's like, "You're just every guy's fantasy. You know, you just be whoever they want you to be." And she's like, "Yeah, and the fact that you said that about me means I love you now." Basically how that goes. Meanwhile, the detective, we find out, was had bugged the office and was listening in on that group session where he told them that their therapist was dead, which is so many kinds of illegal. There's absolutely no way he had a warrant for that. None whatsoever. Super not okay. Bruce Willis is like, "That's naughty. You shouldn't have done that," but then lets that go.
The things this guy says, though, like, he comes to Bruce Willis's house and's like, we're gonna search it." He goes, "Do you have a warrant?" He said, "Do you want me to find the killer or not?" And Bruce Willis says, "Whatever," lets him in.
Which I don't know if you need a warrant to search the victim's
It's not even
house.
his house. He's
It's
just
not your
in.
house. You're just you are a guest here, sir. It's really lucky for you that this man died with an ex-wife and no children, because otherwise you have just replaced this man and just stolen all his shit and
Yeah.
declared that it is yours. He is Great Britain, and this he has colonized this man's house. Like, "Oh, that's a real nice painting you have there. Mine now."
Do you remember what the cop says when Bruce Willis is like, "Oh, I can't tell you about that doctor-patient confidentiality." He goes, "Confidentiality? You wanna know what if my best friend died and then Miranda rights came into play? I'd fuck Miranda up the ass."
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yep. That's our guy. What we find out is there's a lot of scenes that basically just add up to everyone in this group is dating the same girl and they don't know it. And there's even a scene where Bruce Willis is like, "Okay, guys, let's all talk about what we want in our partners and what we would change about them if we could." And everybody's clearly dating the same person, and none of them can figure it out. They're all real stupid, and that coincidentally the only person who doesn't talk in this scene is Richie, because the movie thinks we're really stupid and doesn't think we know that Richie is the same woman that Bruce Willis is dating, that Sandra, her gal pal that we see, Bonnie, who's British and has a big auburn wig, like, we're supposed to not realize, I guess, that these are all the same person, but it's so painfully obvious. And it means it's really weird that we don't see what Richie's doing while everyone in the room is talking about her. I definitely thought that it was going to be that Richie is a trans man who, because it was pretty obvious that this is the same person that Bruce Willis is dating, and we've definitely seen her naked. I was like, okay, so he's already like, it made perfect sense to me that, like, okay, so, like, there's the part of him that dresses as a man, but also he's expressing, like, the female side by going out and having sex with all the people in the group, like, but then it becomes really obvious that when he says, when Buck is, like, talking about how he wants to be a woman and he's getting the chop, and I was like, okay, is he a trans woman? And he's already had the surgery, because we know what their body looks like, because it's clearly the same person. What am I supposed, it got real confusing there for a second until I realized, like, no, 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 nobody here is trans anything.
Do you think though,
She's got multiple personalities.
so I'd like to think that in 1994 audiences weren't this dumb and this just isn't from us, having more experience with the trans community and, having friends and just knowing more about it. Because in this movie, like once you see Richie and you see Rose,
Rose.
she has such distinct teeth,
Yeah,
honestly. Like
it's really,
she's
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 got
got
these very prominent front two teeth that you're like, oh, okay, like, I immediately know who you are. You
you have the same teeth. Like
Yeah, you are
you
the
can't,
same person.
like Richie does like squint a little more and is like
Oh, yeah.
change her giant eye like doe eyes, but you can't like there's not I don't know.
No
I don't want
amount
to
of
say like
gray face makeup can change the fact that these are the same person. And so then you're
correct.
just trying to figure out, okay, which kind of regressive 90s thinking are we going with here as to why they are the same person?
Do you think that maybe that's why the producers like we're cutting a half hour of this because we're not fucking idiots?
Yeah,
Like you're
and it was
treating the
starting
audience like you
it
don't
was
need to who done it this hard with everybody when we're like that's that person.
it's like when you read Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde now, the only thing you know about it is they're the same person. And reading the actual original work, you're like, get to the point. I know. It was so frustrating for me. I mean, admittedly, I was a kid when I was reading it and I wasn't particularly patient, but I was like, okay, are we not going to get into any of the, like, philosophical or existential things about this? No, it's just a, who is this person? Who is this person? Do they know each other? They're the same person. And so it's so frustrating, and that's what it felt like here. I was like, guys, they're the same person. Guys. And so yes, if there had been an extra 20 or 30 minutes of them dragging out the fact that they are the same person, I would have thrown myself out the window like I was Pepper Ann.
Pepper ran, survives a great big splat. The snake thing? Did we skip that
Oh,
already?
yeah. So, Bruce Willis keeps getting random threats on his own life. Someone floods the house and he slips on water. And if he's a 40-year-old man, that broke his goddamn back landing
Oh,
like that. It looked so painful.
yeah, bitch ain't going jogging the next day. Like he
No
is
way.
yeah, yeah.
And then also, he opens his mailbox and there's a rattlesnake inside. And for some reason, he's laying there in the middle of the road as if he's trapped. And I'm like, back up. Hey,
The
back up. Back
so
up.
I
Instead, he's
didn't
like screaming to people for help. And the guy has like a leaf blower and can't hear him. I'm like, just back up.
move. The snake's still in the
Move.
mailbox.
Move.
The best part though in that, and I since we ended up delaying the recording, so I watched it a second time. And in the second viewing, I didn't notice when he falls backwards into the road, he falls in front of an oncoming car and the guy
Mhm.
yells at him.
Yeah.
But based on where the mailbox is, the car that he falls in front of and gets yelled at is
Mhm.
driving on the wrong side of the road.
I think that man swerved to hit him.
He literally swears, he's like, there's a man, and then swerves, like, get out of the way. But like, what the fuck? That's just an
LA
extra little dumb
drivers,
thing.
am I right?
Oh my god. And then I guess we can get to the car chase, which
Yeah, we
is
might as well.
a full Bruce Willis action movie scene
Mhm,
in
mhm.
this movie.
Yeah, okay, can you, okay, so basically, he's being chased by a red
Like a
fancy
T-Bird or
car.
something,
I
yeah.
don't know, I'm not a car person, but he keeps getting rear-ended by this red car, and it's definitely doing more damage to the car that is attacking him than to Bruce Willis's car. And I'm like, "You are fucking up your nice car, and for what, dude?" And then we're swerving all over the road. And a train is coming. I don't understand. It took.
Oh, we bad boys to it with the
Mm-hmm.
car, the truck with hauling cars.
Mm-hmm.
Cars are
Oh
falling off the thing.
yes, it was just like in one of the many fatal attractions, Final Destinations,
Mm,
with the cars falling off the car. What do you call that thing? A car that
car
transports
transport.
cars? Yeah, all the cars are
I
coming
mean, it's just
off.
like literally Bad Boys too. Like they're shooting at it as they're using the cars falling off as weapons.
It's
Not
great.
not not in this. It is, but it is full on gone to a place that this movie never felt like it was going to reach this point of just a straight
Mm.
up 90s action movie scene.
And Bruce Willis goes into full Bruce mode. No longer is he a mild mannered therapist. He's like trying to trap this car in front of a train,
Yeah, he's trying to kill the, which is badass. That's
right?
like the most competent thing anyone's done in this whole movie is he
Like
is
there's
reversing this car into a train.
yeah, the car is pushing into him. He's backing up, pushing the car back, trying and a train is coming. Like they're playing chicken somehow, and he's like, "Why won't you just reverse?"
Should I have it written down. Should I say the phone call that happens before this car chase?
Sure.
He gets a call on his car phone, I guess
Mhm.
his
Mhm.
therapist or his buddy's car phone, and the voice is like, "Hey, puke face, look around. Can't you see me? Or do you have doo doo in your eyes and caca on the brain? Suck my tinker toy, you cretin F slur."
Oh yeah, because we get both the F slur and the C word in this movie. We're having a lot of fun here.
Yeah, we hit a lot
Um,
of the words.
we hit a lot of words. And Garrett, looking back, who calls this man? Who was doing that? Was that Dale?
So yeah, we do. There are several scenes with Dale, Andrew Lowry, that I mentioned from My Boyfriend's Back, who is
Yes.
the brother of Richie.
And he's like, Richie needs to get out of therapy. It's not good for him. And Bruce Willis is like, what are you talking about? Your brother is messed up. And he's like, no, no, he's messed up because you therapists
Looking at
keep
the
messing with
scabs.
him. You're picking at the scabs. You know how sometimes when someone gets shot in the head and they just leave the bullet in because it would do more damage to take it out? And Bruce Willis is like, I don't think that's how it works with psychology. And so he's like, but here's the thing though, Richie is here because of court order because of his drugs problem. So I can't just like let him go unless I actually think he's doing well. So a lot of this is investigating what happened to Richie. Why is Richie so messed up? Why is Richie here? Where even was Richie? Because like the family were wards of the state. It is so stupid, Garrett, that he is looking through all these files and never finds out that there was a sister until the lady dramatically reveals it at the end of the movie. He looks
Yeah.
through so many records on these kids and their lives, and they were taken in by these people, and then they were, oh, we lost track of them for a while, and then they show back up, and there's no mention of the fact that there's also a sister.
And there's no mention that Richie's fucking dead.
No. Well, you know how
There's
LA record keeping is. It's like LA
well,
drivers.
so car chase. It ends up with a thing where the red car ends up on top of a parking garage, shoves a car off trying to crush Bruce Willis,
Oh, it's
doesn't.
great.
Great. Awesome scene. Bruce Willis has to do his, classic dive like he's jumping away from an explosion as he doesn't get crushed by a car. The next scene is insane. This is just like such a small little scene that I have to bring up, and that
Go
is
on.
the police officer's birthday party.
Oh my god, yes.
We can't
What
not
is
mention
this
the birthday party.
shit? It is
Why is Bruce
so
Willis at his birthday party? It's an outdoor, like, it's
party.
a party with his family. There's a shit ton of people there. There's food, but it seems like Bruce Willis just came to tell him, "I almost got killed."
Mhm.
And they're just
And he
having
just
that
happened to be there at his backyard birthday party.
the birthday party of this man who absolutely hates him.
Mhm.
And as they're talking,
Mhm.
a police helicopter hovers over the party. They get on a megaphone and start shouting down at the party like, "Hey, Lieutenant Hector," or whatever his last name is. Keep in mind, there are children at this party.
Mhm.
There are grandmas at this party.
This is a
There are
big party.
It's a
This
big party. The police officers are do you call that the rudders on the plane, like with the legs that the helicopter
the
lands
part
on
people always are grabbing onto
in
dramatically in
in an action?
movies.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So they're hanging out the side of this, no protection, very
No,
high in
god,
the air,
no.
and a lady dressed as a police officer
She may be a
drops
lady police officer, we have no idea. There's no
I
context. Or
yeah,
she
I
could be a
think it
stripper that is just a stripper cop stripper.
the vibe is regular cop.
Mhm,
Drops her pants while hovering from a helicopter and starts shaking her ass,
mhm,
but in a way that also shows us she's just shaking her whole vagina at us during
mhm.
this scene in front of children. Nana's there,
God and
everybody,
everyone.
God and everybody. I have questions.
Do
What
you?
one, was she a cop?
Mhm,
Two, is she a registered sex offender now?
mm.
Like there's
3,
what the
are my tax dollars paying for
paid
the
for
use
this shit?
are
Yes,
my tax dollars paying for this helicopter to come to this asshole's birthday and moon him?
but like a pussy moon.
Mhm.
Like, what the fuck? This is just like an extra, like, you haven't seen any vaginas in a while. Here is one from behind
Here you go.
in an
Um,
inexplicable scene that could have taken place anywhere, but we paid 200 extras to be at this
it's the
party.
same it's honestly the same thing when he goes to see, the cop the last time, and they're in a club. They're in, like, a rock club, and I'm like,
They're
"You
walking
guys
by the Whiskey a
paid
Go Go. Yeah.
you paid for so many extras when this could have just been them talking in the street or a diner or just, like, on a phone call."
A split screen phone call to get like a minute of dialogue tops.
It is wild that they paid for this, that they thought that that was so important. I guess because he mentions that he used to work in Vice, and that sort of becomes but, like, you don't need to show him at a rock club for him to mention that he used to work in Vice, and all that sets up is that he and Buck knew each other, and he was fucking Buck's wife before Buck's wife died, and that turns out to not be relevant to anything. It's just a red herring, I guess, so that for a minute you think that Hector might be the killer or Buck might be the killer because Buck has a red car, but his red car is not fucked up. And there's no way that car wouldn't be in shambles.
Well, he did have a did have a cracked windshield. Uh, and Buck did come outside with a gun, which is supposed to make me think he's crazy. He's not. His family died tragically. That's it.
Yep.
So,
And then we see that Casey, the S&M artist, is getting murdered. Um, it's pretty hard to tell if he's being railed or murdered because the belt's around his neck and he looks like he might be enjoying it, but it's hard to know.
well, because it was his girlfriend, so he recognized her and it's like, "Hey, I'm working out. What are you doing?" Like, he doesn't even acknowledge that it's like murdering him yet because it's part of his kink. So
Yes.
But yes, they're all dating Bonnie. Bonnie is Rose.
Yep, yep. It's Rose with a fake British accent and a wig.
The scene where they all realize they're dating the same woman is pretty cute.
It's yes, it is.
They find a naked photo in the office in a book, and they're just going around in circles being like, "That's my girlfriend. That's
No,
my
that's
girlfriend."
my girlfriend. Which also I want to point out that this naked photo of what was at the time Scott Bakula's girlfriend is in his therapy notes slash diary, which he keeps in his office. Sure, why not? We have to mention though one of my favorite little sex bits though is Bruce Willis and Rose in the bath, and he's driving an RC tank up her tummy
I would have
to then
forgotten about that.
shoot water in her face. It's so hot.
It's
It-
so hot.
it's so hot.
And that's the only reason that scene's in the movie is because it's hot.
Yeah,
He's on the bottom, she's laying on top of him, floating on water,
it's
full
soapy.
frontal again.
It's just
It's
soapy, but the soap's not hiding nothing.
it's yeah, army tank driving over her pubes. Like I was more like, where did Bruce Willis get this army tank? Was
Hmm.
this Bob's army tank? Is he now just like, I found this toy and I'm gonna ruin it in the bathtub? This electronic toy.
Yeah, it
Uh
is a little weird that he's fucking Bakula's girlfriend, which I guess he doesn't know it's Bakula's girlfriend, but he should, because like she let herself into the house. I wonder how she knew the code to the alarm system. Gee. Um, but like he's fucking that woman on every surface in this dead man's house.
oh yeah. Yeah, and like you said, he doesn't have a wife or kids or family or anything. So, Scott Bakula would have wanted it this way, I think.
Would he? Probably.
It's so I love though that once they all come to the realization they're dating the same woman, now they
But
have to
they
call Lieutenant
still
Hector.
don't realize it's Richie. That's the weirdest part is they're all like, "We're dating her. No, I'm dating her. No, I'm dating her." And no one notices that like everyone in the group has been dating her except for Richie.
Who
And
is
no
supposed to be a 16-year-old boy.
this is true.
It would make sense that he's not dating this
Which
like 20-something smoke show.
by the way though makes it even weirder that the 16-year-old boy has been put into group therapy with a sex addict. Bad
I
therapists. They're all bad therapists.
I can't make it make sense, Kit. My brain can only, fill in so many pieces, and that's one that it's just you just got to let it go. And you know
Yeah.
what? You know how they get you to let it go? Show an army tank driving through a woman's pubes. You see that and your brain like shuts back down
Shuts
to just
completely down and
caveman thoughts
mhm,
where you
mhm.
aren't thinking of plot anymore.
Plot. I've never heard of her.
I can't see color either. I guess. No, I don't know. But I love the cop. Like he is the last person I would want to have to admit all of this to. And of course
Mhm.
he roasts everyone for being fucking idiots for
Yeah,
all
the cop
dating the same
first
woman.
the cop shows up. I don't know who invited him, but the cop's like, "Yeah, so you're all a bunch of daffodils dating the same woman."
I'm gonna call the Guinness Book of World Record and make sure you're all listed in there so you can all get credit for how fucking stupid you are.
At this point, Bruce Willis starts to go a little bit crazy. He's getting real desperate to figure out what the fuck's going on. And so he busts in the door of this lady who used to be married to a therapist who was Richie's therapist long, long ago, but who didn't want to talk to him. And he just kicks this woman's door in and starts threatening her.
It
And
is one of the ladies from Grandma's Boy, by the way. If you need to put like an old woman in your head that is getting harassed and yelled at by Bruce Willis.
yes, and he's like, "You're gonna tell me everything," and she's like, "My husband abused that boy, and then he killed himself," and they're like, "What? Richie's been dead for 4 years," which does lend credence to your ghoul theory. He's been dead for
He's
4 years.
and Bruce Willis full looks like Sixth Sense Bruce Willis in this movie.
Yeah.
So, it was, it's I'm just saying, we've seen it before.
Yep, yep, yep. So, he terrorizes this lady, and the lady is like, yeah, also they had a sister named Rose. So, okay,
Dan, dan, dan.
we're finally putting the pieces together. Richie's dead. Rose has been pretending to be Richie for reasons that will become clear, and Dale, the brother, presumably knows this, but all he wants from Bruce Willis is for Richie Rose to not be in therapy anymore. So now I guess I gotta go track him down and find out what's going on here.
I don't understand. So we've already been to where Dale works. And when we go back now, I don't fully understand where he works. It seems like maybe it's a place that builds theater sets.
It's supposed to be that he builds furniture, but it's not like any furniture I'm familiar with.
It's like a spooky ghoul dungeon.
It is a spooky ghoul dungeon. And so he gets in there and he sees that Rose is like
This is
literally, this is where it gets a little fucked up, guys. She's nailed to a chair.
both hands,
Both
both hands,
hands.
nails in them. And we hit like a full exorcist style scene.
Yeah, it gets, guys, this gets real weird and real messed up. She's like cut up and she's like, he's been forcing me to be Richie for years now, and it was easier just to do it. And
But now
now,
she's schizophrenic because
yeah,
of
she's got multiple personalities, one of whom is Richie, one of whom is Bonnie, the slut that's sleeping with everyone in the group. And one of whom is Rose, and one of whom may or may not be a ghoul, according to Garrett. And
I think the ghoul is who is talking because as he's trying to pull the nails out and talking to Rose, then
mm-hmm.
like he's like, Rose isn't here, Mr. Torrance. And like she's like, really? And he's like, get out of here, Richie. I'm trying to talk to Rose. You leave her alone. So now Bruce Willis is arguing with a ghoul. Like I this
Yeah.
he is beyond his pay grade of therapy and is now screaming at multiple personalities while digging nails out of a woman's hand.
Yeah. Yeah.
This scene's fucking crazy. It
It's
gets like we
Jesus Christ. It is so much. And then Dale shows up and he's got a nail gun. And
loved
so
it.
I mean, it gets really great because like then Martinez, the detective shows up and he's like, "You thought you could outsmart me, idiots. I knew where you were going. And here I am to save the day." Just kidding. I'm getting nailed to a wall also. He brought a gun to a nail fight and lost.
He as they start shooting the nails, as Dale starts shooting them at Detective Martinez, they are hitting his fingers one at a time in a
Yeah,
way
that's
that you
got
see the
great
fingers.
accuracy.
Oh, they squish and stretch in a way that like clearly it's a prosthetic, but like it's really fucking
It's
gross.
really gross. And yeah, I guess so Dale's like, a therapist is the reason my brother killed himself. So I hate all therapists, and therefore I feel great about killing Bacula and killing you, Bruce Willis, and this is all justified. And I'm like, well, this
See, this
movie's
is
not, listen, and I say this as someone who has been in therapy for a very long time. It's been very good for me and my mental health. I'm doing very well because of it. But this movie does not make it look like the noble profession that it is. Um Between these therapists, we have at least 3 deaths that these therapists are sort of responsible for. Like, they are not these guys are bad. I feel like Dale may have had a bit of a point. Like, Bruce Willis caused a patient to commit suicide. Dr. Needle Dick, as I kept calling him, because he was Dr. Needlemeyer, the Richie's old therapist, caused Richie to commit suicide. Um, Bacula was fucking one of his patients and didn't realize it. Bruce Willis was fucking one of his patients and didn't realize it. Like, you're not making the profession look good.
we're just saying, folks, you're getting to know your new therapist,
Mhm.
maybe ask how many people have died on their watch.
Yes, literally in front of their very eyes.
See, this is one that like Dale was kind of like if I am I remembering that right? Like he also abused Richie,
No, Dale didn't abuse Richie, he abused Rose
but
after
he
Richie died.
but he never hit Richie.
I don't know if it's clear if he did or not.
I
He
thought
might've.
like for some reason my brain is remembering that Dale was like because obviously Dale's a crazy person too. I
Yes.
thought he had also beaten or abused Richie. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe that honestly doesn't matter. I was just going to say this is one where maybe somebody who doesn't feel guilty about the death should feel a little more
Should feel
guilty,
a little more
take a little more
guilty.
blame.
Yeah.
But Rose has the nail gun. There's a scuffle. She shoots Richie in the head, but then, or shoots Dale in the head, and then runs away. Here we are back to another 1,000-story building.
Yes, even though this building is only 2 stories maximum, like,
Yeah, it
based on
is a
from what we saw of the outside of it.
regular size warehouse with some inexplicably tall tower that literally goes through the clouds. It
Yes.
disappears into the clouds. And as they climb this, I don't understand why they were so high, Kit.
I don't
Why?
either.
Why did the director do that? They were so high. They were on top, like it looked like they were on an airplane. Like the ground were ant, like everything was ants.
Well, after Rose has nail gunned her brother in between the eyes, she wants to throw herself from the tallest possible structure, which happens to be the one that she's already in, because it's the weirdest built warehouse of all time that happens to have a chimney the size of its own
The
skyscraper
chimney
on
to
it.
heaven.
And so, she's about to throw herself off, and he's like, "Please don't, please, for I can't handle another person throwing themselves off a building in front of me. I just can't. It's not good for me." But of course, like she decides she doesn't want to die, and then the wind, because you know how the winds are when you're up in,
In heaven.
in heaven. They're getting. It may have been a passing airliner that like whoosh made
Yeah,
her fall.
it was a jet turbine. You're right. You're right. It was you got to when you're on your way to Valhalla, you got to watch out for the jet turbines.
So, she falls, he catches her, hooray for love. He can see that the light that was up there was red all along. Um,
Ends on a great comedic beat.
Ends on a great comedic beat where you hear Hector screaming from inside like, "Guys, I'm still nailed to the wall here. Please help me get down."
I let it run through the credits as I was just sitting there silently
Uh-huh.
processing this movie. After all the credits have go by, you hear Hector scream one more time, "I'm still down here, you fucking daffodils."
Yep. Yep. Yep.
End
And
scene.
so, here's the question. Earlier in the movie, when Bruce Willis comes across the artist's dead body and he like has the moment where he's like, "Oh shit, it was red, it's blood." Did he actually briefly get his vision back and then lose it again? Or is that just for us, the audience? Because here it's pretty clear that he can now see that the light is red and, "Oh, I got my vision back because I resolved my trauma somehow."
So no, because the what he was sitting in was green paint.
Yes.
And so no, I don't think he saw it. Like I didn't process that he thought that was blood until you said it
No,
at the
it was
beginning of the podcast.
it's so much blood.
That was paint. Wasn't he just sitting in paint?
He
Because
thought it was paint and then it cuts to like a wide and it's blood everywhere.
see, I guess I didn't gather that because too when we see the dead body, like he's been graffitied all over and painted on. And
Yes.
it didn't seem like he had been cut up, right? Like he was just strangled.
He was, but then they mentioned that he has been like bled out.
Okay. Oh, because well, yeah, because obviously, like Dale is the killer, and like when he's talking to Bruce Willis about what he's going to do to him, he's talking about how like I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna sand your skin off, and I'm gonna like he's
Yeah.
getting like pretty intense and
Dale's
graphic with
weird.
Dale's fucked up.
Yeah, the
Yeah, I
reason
guess
he
I
had to kill him was because it was getting to be too obvious that all of these people had fucked the same woman, and it was gonna like their secret was gonna come out. I guess when they realized that Richie wasn't a boy because they'd all had sex with her. And he was worried that that was gonna ruin his whole plot. Look, there's so much that we like sort of skimmed over because this movie has way too much shit in it. Like there's stuff going on every single second. You should really check it out for yourself if you have not already. Because there's no way, as you pointed out, Garrett, you almost missed talking about the RC tank driving up her tummy in the bathtub.
like
That in any
may
other movie that would have been top of the list of things to talk about.
yeah, that would have been a 20-minute section on the podcast that I had like
Right?
shit ready to go. But yeah, no, there's so much nudity, there's so much weirdness. Honestly, the it really is though. It's bad writing and the
Mhm.
weirdness of the writing that
Yes.
like it boggles the mind. But then yeah, there's so much sex as well that it just hits you with something that just kind of distracts you from the shittiness.
I really wish that we had watched this with a therapist near us to be like, and that's a violation, and that's an ethics violation, and that's a HIPAA violation, and that's another ethics violation. Like, just to really go through all the details of just how terrible these people are at therapy.
Ugh. This isn't streaming anywhere, folks. There was not a single site I could find.
Do you know how happy I am to have paid the $4 to rent it? Perfectly delighted.
Honestly, I regret
Perfectly.
not paying the 18 to own it.
Well, now you got a chance to go track down the director's cut and own that instead.
So I guess from what I saw, it looked like in 2023, the director's cut at one point was available on the Criterion channel.
God bless you, Criterion Channel. So, like, what did we miss? Did you find out what was cut?
I mean,
Please
it
don't tell
really
me
seemed
it was more boobs because God, those
it
boobs.
was.
Oh no, don't take those
Well, they're
away.
the most gratuitous sex scene they cut 2 full minutes of. It was literally we watched half of the sex scene
And
that the director wanted us to see.
it already felt like I was watching pornography and not
Like
and
there's
not
a
an
s
R-rated movie.
Yeah, there's a site that shows scene by scene and tells you producer's cut, director's cut, and there were 4 separate cuts of this movie. Um, there was the producer's cut, which was the theatrical. There was, like, an international cut that was, like, the producer's cut, but with more nudity.
Mhm, mhm.
Then the director's cut, and then the unrated director's cut, which had the most of everything, like but yeah, it
That's
seemed like
that one's the Sunday with all the toppings.
well, I think in this one, it did seem like we get Sonia and we find out that Bonnie is Rose. It
Yeah.
seemed like we get more scenes of the other patients interacting with their girlfriend.
Okay,
So
sure, sure, sure.
so
Which is
more of
so
it's
unnecessary. Like you
yeah,
really it you don't need to keep seeing the fact that they all have the same girlfriend. It is like reading Jekyll and Hyde and being like, just get to the
just
point, they're the
get
same person.
so I see where the producer was, and I also see where, like, the MPAA was not gonna let 2 more
Pers-
minutes of gratuitous sex.
I'm sad.
That is sad that they cut that, but from what I understand, there is a company that released the unrated director's cut on Blu-ray a few years ago. I'm assuming probably not in print anymore,
We should
but
track that down.
100%, like, this for anybody should get thrown into a bad movie night rotation. This is
Absolutely. Oh, okay.
the
So the picture you showed me of Bruce Willis's donger, I want to say, is it? I don't know enough about the MPAA. Are you allowed to show a non-erect penis more than an erect one? Because it seems outrageous that it would not be fully hard the second that woman took her dress off. And so my question is that because like like I now that I think about it, every time we've watched one of these and we've seen a dick,
Flaccid.
it is flaccid.
Mhm.
Is that a rule?
Yeah. Like, you can't show an erect penis, and, like, it really wasn't we didn't see penises very often in movies until
Mm-mm.
Jason Segel and Judd Apatow kind of cracked the code on showing penises and forgetting Sarah Marshall, where, like, if a penis is flaccid and being used for comedy, it is
Aha.
more likely to be able to be shown in the movie than in a sexual situation.
Oh, and here we thought it was so sexist that they wouldn't that they show more like cuz there's a thing about like showing going down on a woman is like more likely to be censored than going down on a
Mhm.
man. But here the dick is being censored and I'm sad about it.
Yeah, that's why I think that's why it's such a big deal when we do see one in these
Yeah.
movies, because it's just something got by the MPAA, and it seems like a lot of the time too, things with the MPAA can be pretty arbitrary on, like, what they allow and don't. I mean, do you think that this movie went the same route that, like, kinda broke our brains, where the MPAA is watching it and is just, like, mind boggled by everything else that when they get to the end, they're like, "Well, I mean, it's definitely not PG. It's R, I guess." I
It's
don't
definitely not but like also was he a ghoul?
was he a ghoul? Yeah, and, like, after they pass it R and they're all just sitting there dumbfounded and it's already gone, and one of them's like, "Wait, did that army tank drive through her pubes?"
All right, Garrett, I think we're ready for it. Scale of 1 to 5, were you aroused?
Jane March was beautiful. She was a
Gorgeous.
beautiful lady and went to such great heights for such a shitty, stupid movie.
Mhm,
Poor Jane
mhm.
March. I don't know that I ever saw her in anything ever again. And I don't know that I had prior to this, but the lengths that she was willing to go, and I hope that things were fine for her and that
Same.
nothing weird happened. Like, that's the fear with all, especially
Always. From
always,
the
that I'm just like, yeah,
God, I hope that this was not a terrible experience for you, but taking it as what it is, the art stands as it is. Give me a goddamn number, Garrett.
tank through the pubes, hadn't seen it before. Saw he went down, she went down, tits on the glass, saw
Mhm.
his dick, not in this version, but online. What color are my nipples? The cooking
That
and
was
the
great.
thing. 5, kid, 5.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm not gonna go full 5, but it's like 4.75. Like it's so close. Uh I mean, like, I was really surprised by how good the sex scenes are because it's a bad movie, but these sex scenes are done with love and care and craft.
Yeah. And he does, like, there's the director throughout this movie does very he does, like, similar shots over and over again, where you
Mhm.
can tell he's trying to make it his thing.
Yep.
I don't know. He definitely came in where he's like, "This is my style. What do you think?" And you're like, "Eh."
And I'm not necessarily attracted to Bruce Willis. Like, I never have been one to find him particular like, he's fine, but it's never been my particular thing, but, like, he ain't getting in the way, you know?
He might be a dumb therapist, but dude knows how to go downtown.
Dude knows how to go downtown. Dude knows how to lick a nip. Good for him.
The underwater shots were very
Really
well done.
pretty. They were really well done and it looked fun, you
Yeah,
know?
I was you it's a movie where you're a little jealous.
Yeah. Yeah, same. All right. Well, Garrett, were you thrilled?
I guess I'll go 2, but that might feel low. The snake did get me.
Uh-huh.
I don't know
Uh-huh.
why I wasn't expecting the snake. The car chase was good. I was never really
Mhm.
worried if anyone was gonna die, and I think even if I hadn't gotten it immediately spoiled as soon as I met the Jane March character, I think I still would have known really quick,
Yeah.
just not that like, I think the next time I saw Richie and saw the teeth, I'd be like, "Oh, that's
Uh, it's,
same,
it's clearly the
same."
same person.
but I got it spoiled so fast, it's hard for me to say, but I also think it treats us like such fucking idiots
Mhm.
that it's hard to say this movie's thrilling. It's enjoy.
Yes. I think that's fair, is that, like, because you're not spending I mean, we ended up because our brains were filling in the gaps with smart ideas instead of dumb ideas, that we did spend more time having to think about it than we should have, but other than that, the mystery itself is not that compelling.
It's too long. Like, I don't really wanna see a 2.5-hour version of this, but I also really, really do.
Really do. And there's so many red herrings because there's so many people in the group that could have been the killer that it feels really unnecessary. You never really take many of them seriously, but at the same time, you're like, yeah, I guess the detective could have been the killer. He's a psychopath. Why not? So it's trying a little too hard both to over explain things to us and to unnecessarily confuse us. Yeah, you're never really all that scared for Bruce Willis's life. But I mean, the nails at the end, like,
Gross. Yeah.
gross. And that was pretty intense.
The whole final bit was, well done,
Yeah,
end of a thriller, height of a horror movie-esque
totally.
area. So it's not like
You get some
yeah, it's
you
well
get some
done. It's just
gore, you get some cool deaths, some cool fights. So not fights, but like whatever was going on with the Assassin's Creed blades popping out. Like that's fun. I would say
ah!
don't forget the scream. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a 3.5. And Garrett, would you ruin your life for Rose?
Kit, if
Mm-hmm.
you and I were in that therapist circle,
Mm-hmm.
you and I would be getting coffee, talking about how hot and awesome our girlfriend is,
Right? Like
and
I
we should
wouldn't
go on
even
a double
mind.
date.
We should. I think at that point it's a thruple, Garrett.
Ooh.
Which I'm okay with. If being with her means I have to share her with my entire Monday night group therapy, I'll do it.
Yeah, like, I would be a little worried about Casey's sexual history and how
Hmm.
clean he is.
Right. I'm
Um,
gonna need to wear protection. I want to make sure we're getting tested for STDs.
a dental
Um,
dam might have to
a
come into
dental dam
play.
might have to come into play, but at the same time, like I'm still willing to do it. I'm willing.
I do like that you and I, like, discover we have the same girlfriend, and it's like,
Hmm.
well, I don't really wanna leave her.
No, she's so cute.
I guess we can just do this Mormon thing, but would
Yeah.
she
Oh my god,
keep
we'll be sister wives, Garrett. I've always wanted to be sister wives with you.
because Richie's the real man in the relationship?
Absolutely.
What would your chameleon traits be when she becomes chameleon girlfriend to
Oh,
you?
right, because that's the thing is that she takes on the different personalities of whoever. So when she's with Brad Dorff, she's like super clean, and when
And thinks he's
she's
dirty,
and
yeah.
thinks he's dirty. And when she's with the shopaholic girl, she's always like, "Girl, treat yourself." I think for me, she would want to read fantasy smut novels with me and talk about how hot all the fairy sex is.
Mhm.
Um she would cook me dinner obviously. And we would like bake cute desserts together, and she would do really cute little decorations too with the icing to make like little happy animals and stuff. It would be really cute. And um oh, and we would like nerd out over stuff together. We'd watch Lord of the Rings. It would listen. It's perfect. Garrett, what would she be for you?
All of us are really out there just to get a hand job from the hottest version of ourselves.
So true. So true. So for you, she'd be like wrestling. That's my favorite thing ever.
Yeah, oh yeah, she would be interested when I talk about wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
We're listening to Charlie XCX and
Mm-hmm.
Carly Rae Jepsen, but also, she's down to go to hardcore shows with me,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
dumb
Oh yeah.
movies.
She doesn't care when she gets blood on her face in the middle of a show.
Yeah, a
That's
little
fine.
blood at a death match is,
No big
She's
deal.
she's
She
a
laughs
fucking
it off.
daffodil.
She's a so are we all. We are
We're
all daffodils for Rose.
No, yeah, I think we'd all ruin our life for Rose because she's designed for us to ruin our life for.
Which is sad when she leaves all of us because she wants to be with Bruce Willis. That's
Do
the
they
part that would
stay
really break
together?
my heart.
Or
Do you
does she
think
go to a
they
mental institution?
do you think they don't stay together? Because there's no way Bruce Willis is letting that go. I don't care how many ethical violations he's gonna lose his license. I don't even know if he had a license to fucking practice in LA. He's from New York. He doesn't actually live here. He So who cares if he loses his license because of this girl? He's willing to do it.
Good on him. Yeah, he's got a good life ahead of him. I hope that all works out.
Stealing your best friend's life. It has its upsides.
Scott Bakula had a good life, and it's very rare that in media Scott Bakula has a better life than Bruce Willis.
Well, it didn't last for long.
Thanks for joining along with us there. As always, at Erotic Thriller Club on Instagram, eroticthrillerclub@gmail.com if you have any questions, comments, concerns.
Like, rate, review, subscribe, whatever on whatever platform you're at. And obviously, please tell a friend. We love having more people in the club. Garrett, you want to send us home?
Thank you for listening. We love you. We want to shake you naked and eat you alive.